My parents are pastors. They don't want me to be wearing earrings. They don't want me to be doing this. They want me to be going to a vigil every time. You are the one that will stand on Judgment Day and account for yourself. Sometimes we look down on the gifts that God has given to us because it comes natural to us, because it's so easy. People have been saying that you're good at something. I think that you should begin to look into it. But there are so many lives that have been transformed because of the works of my hands.
When people hear the word influence, they're probably thinking influencer.
So I always say that it's not what you don't have that limits you. What you have, but you don't know how to use, that limits you. All it just takes is to start. Once you start, your path begins to shine brighter and brighter. But make sure that every time you are not embarrassing much, you're not embarrassing your family, you're not embarrassing yourself.
Hello and welcome to the Mountain of Influence podcast. I am Abimbola Olide. On this podcast, we dive deep into the insights, experiences, and wisdom of kingdom-minded professionals who have reached the pinnacle of success in their respective industries. Our conversations uncover the principles, challenges, and faith-driven strategies that have guided these leaders to not only excel in their fields, but also to use their influence for a higher purpose. We explore the unique journeys of these trailblazers, learning how they have navigated their careers while staying true to their faith, how they continue to make an impact for the kingdom in everything that they do. And for you, the listener, or if you're watching this on YouTube, this means access to invaluable lessons on navigating your own career with purpose, overcoming obstacles, and discovering how to integrate faith and excellence in your professional life. Each episode will leave you inspired and equipped with practical tools to step into your place of influence and thrive in your own journey towards kingdom impact. So, welcome to the theme, Deployment to Domination. And today, I have with me Morenike Molehin, who is the founder and chief executive officer of the award-winning Oak Teak Interiors, arguably one of the fastest-growing interior design companies in Africa. Over a period of 10 years, Morenike has successfully positioned the company as the leading interior design company with expertise in delivering on the most complex design projects, including 5-star hotels. Somebody should be clapping right now. I wish we were in a live audience. And through our focused leadership, the company has continuously expanded within and beyond the shores of Nigeria by delivering world-class services to clients in Dubai, Rwanda, and Ghana. Morenike recently led our team to set up operations in the United States to cater to the global demand for our services. As a testament to our entrepreneurial leadership, our company emerged as the winner of an international award for Best Luxury Residential Interior design company in 2022. Please, that's just me just reading a little bit of this amazing woman that we have with us on the Mountains of Influence podcast today. Welcome, Morenike, to the Mountains of Influence.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you today?
Very well, very well. How are you as well?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking.
You look amazing.
Thank you so much. So do you. And let's dive right in. What does influence mean to you?
That's such a beautiful question. So for me, I'll say that influence is using like your personality, your skills, your gifts, to make an impact in this world, right? So it can be, some people have negative influences, some people have positive influences, but as long as it can make an impact, it can make people, make a decision because of what you're saying or because of what you're doing, then I would regard that as influence. So basically just having like the right attribute, the right habits to be able to change and transform another life. That's what I would define as influence.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. And it's so profound when a lot of when people hear the word influence, they're probably thinking influencer.
Yes.
and I bet and it's so amazing that you are actually an influencer, aren't you?
I am.
And I'm sure we're going to get to that. But when people, but because of the times that we live in, when people hear the word influence, the first thing they'll probably think about, all those influencers, social media people. But that's just one aspect of influence, just like Morenike has just defined. So now we've read your bio, beautiful bio. You've done so much in the course of a decade. You've achieved so much, and that is so beautiful. But you're coming from somewhere, so we'd like to get to know you. Tell us about you and the Mountain of Influence. How did you arrive at this mountain? What's the journey? Who is Morenike? Who is she? Where is she coming from? What was childhood like for her? How did she decide to pick this path to say this is where I'm going to dominate for God's kingdom?
Wow. Okay. So growing up, so I'm the first child of 3 children, first daughter as well. And I had, such a decent upbringing. My parents, I would say they're like above middle class. And, we grew up in a loving home. My parents are pastors, but beyond pastors, they are amazing parents, right? So they're not like your typical pastors that's, their children, you must always attend videos, you must be in church 24/7. They just, groomed us as parents. So I have like a father-daughter relationship with my dad, a mother-daughter relationship with my mom, and then my siblings as well. We have a beautiful relationship. So
Mm.
growing up, it was beautiful. It was also, African home now. You cannot still get away from, the discipline that you would get
Mm-hmm.
from the African home.
Yeah.
And then, and like I always say, because I'm the firstborn, I was like scapegoat. So I went to three different secondary schools. They were using me to test. I was the guinea pig of
Wow.
the house. So I went to three secondary schools, yes, and then finished. Went to Covenant University. As soon as I was done with Covenant, I did my NYSC, my 1 year mandatory service for those that in Nigeria would usually
Mm.
do. So after that, and that was where I met my husband. Right after that, I went ahead to for my second degree in the United Kingdom, and when I was done, I came back home immediately after the 1 year. I didn't even stay at all.
Mm.
I came back. Then I got married,
Wow.
and started working in a consulting firm. I worked there for about 9 months thereabouts. But then I
Wow.
had to resign because they were moving operations from Lagos to Kano, so I couldn't move to Kano, and I was like 8 months pregnant at the time.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, I had to resign, and then from there, I started thinking, okay, what can I do? Like, I don't want a situation whereby I find myself in this position again, where I have to resign
Mm.
because either maybe the company was downsizing or the company was
Yeah.
going through something. So I then decided, I started thinking about entrepreneurship at the time. So
Mm.
I was still going to be working in 9 to 5, because in 9 to 5 I wanted to build certain things like discipline, how to
Mm.
run a
Yeah.
business,
Mm.
just things that you learn on how to really run a business. Because at the time I was 23 at the time, so I still wanted to have the 9 to 5, but also still have something tangible that I could fall back on, almost like my plan B.
Mm.
So and that's how I started my business. And at the time, it was something that I didn't even think about. And if someone has heard me share over and over about how I started my business, you would
Mm.
always hear me talk about how it was my husband that brought it to my notice that, oh, this interior thing, like, you did up our home, like, getting married, did up our home, and the compliments were always flowing. Everybody that came to the house, wow, your house is so beautiful, your house is nice. And I just used to take it as a compliment, as it was,
Okay.
because exactly, juicy. So growing up, my mom, was the interior, unofficial interior decorator, because our house was always beautiful. She was always
Wow.
decorating. When she travels, she would always buy decorations. She was that
Wow.
auntie in the house that anytime an uncle or a family member is building a house or they are moving houses, they'll call her. She's come help us to choose color, paint colors, come
Wow.
help us to choose curtains,
Wow.
come help us to choose furniture. So she used to do it. And
Wow.
at the time, back then, it wasn't a thing. Well, in Nigeria at the time, it wasn't a thing. And people didn't see it as business, just the way, now event planning, people, it was
Mm-hmm.
family members that used to plan weddings and parties at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think unconsciously I now developed, or I picked up this, and
Mm.
then it was like residual knowledge, such that when it was time
Mm.
for me to do
Wow.
this, right, it just
Wow.
came out of my subconscious. And so there are some
Mm.
things that we actually have been building up all this while
Mm.
that we don't even know that is on our inside. It might have to
Yeah.
take somebody that is around us, because what happens, what I found out is that sometimes we look down on the gifts that God has given to us because it comes natural to us, because it's so easy.
Exactly.
And
Easy.
so you're thinking, it's not just to cook jollof rice. Like, what's the big deal in cooking jollof rice?
Mm.
Meanwhile, your own jollof rice is better than
Mm.
almost every other person's jollof rice
Mm.
around. There's something,
Mm.
but because it comes natural to you, you just look down and you think that it's
Visualize
easy.
it.
Exactly, trivialize it. So
Mm.
if people have been saying that you're good at something, I think that you should begin to
Mm.
look into it. So I'm
Wow.
grateful that that actualization, that awareness that I got from my husband, I was able to
Mm.
sit down and say, okay, maybe there's something here. Let's see if we can explore it. And then it was almost like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Let me even just try it. Like, if I don't succeed in like a year, at least I know that I've tried, and then I can move on to something else. And I think that that's
Yeah.
one of the best decisions that I made in my life,
Wow.
because 11 years after, we are still here and we are going
Mm.
to the glory of God.
Humble.
And I
Yeah.
always look back and I'm like, I'm thankful that I'm on this journey, because it has made me, I've grown. There are so many people I've met. There are so many lives that have been transformed because of the works of my hands. So many
Mm.
destinies, that are attached
Mm.
to us, that God has been so grateful. God has been so gracious that we've been able, to
Mm.
say transform lives through the business. And so
Mm.
that's like my growing up and my background in a
Mm.
nutshell. And when people say, oh, how did you become like this? I'm like, it's not like I just woke up one morning and it was
Mhm.
just a daily, consistent, intentional habits and goals that you put into your everyday life. That one morning or one day, it just seems like,
Mm.
oh wow, you have. It's just like if you're going, for example, you're traveling from anywhere,
Yeah.
from where you are to your
Mm.
destination. You don't just, it's not on your seat there that you just do like this and then you appear at your.
Then you have kind of
No, if
no
you are going to
magic.
use, if you are going to use leg, you will be
Mm.
one step after the other,
At a
get you
time.
closer to your destination. If it's car,
Mm-hmm.
now if it's car, if it's aeroplane, if it's bus, now that depends on your resources. At least
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, you are moving and it's taking you
Mm.
closer to your destination. So I always say,
Wow.
whatever it is, like back then, I had like, because I didn't have like technical background in interior design, it was
Mm-hmm.
something that could limit me. Right, it was something I could have said. I don't have
Don't have that.
interior certification. I've not done any formal training. Let me stay. Let me, and I can keep procrastinating, and I might even just find myself out of that line that God has destined for me. So I always say that it's not what you don't have that limits you. It's what you have, but you don't know how to use that limits you. Because sometimes we have just enough for us to start. All it just takes is to start. Once you start, your path begins to shine brighter and brighter, right? Like he puts the lamp onto your feet and it just begins to direct you. Like when you put a lamp on your feet, trust me, and you're walking, you cannot see the end. Like if you're dark, if you're in a dark place and you put the lamp is, it doesn't show you so much, but at least the more you take the step, the lamp is on your feet. It will be showing you the next step, or you will know whether you are going to enter into a ditch or you're not enter into a ditch. Exactly. So you keep moving, you keep moving. So that's like, I think that's like the beauty of, and also the beauty of working with God, right? I always say that I don't want to know everything. I want God to just be showing me, just like the way you have like exactly, just the way you have like all these treasure hunts. It's so exciting. Like you're like, okay, wow, amazing. Like what next? You're just like a child in the candy. So just like, and it makes you just totally dependent on God, right? And God, who has already planned all this, he has put, like I said, like treasure hunt. Like he has already mapped out everything. It's just now for you. The Bible verse which talks about, it's the glory of God to conceal a thing, and then the kings to set you out. Exactly. So so that's like, our own testimony as believers. The things are already there. Like things like our 10 years from our 20 years, like our lives have already been, orchestrated and planned. It's now our own job to be able to, to unlock it, and unlock it through different ways, through prayers, through just being in the secret place of God, and Him downloading these things to you. That's like the original. I don't know if they still use that word. That's just secret. Honestly, like I don't even know how else, I'm so happy that I'm on such a platform where it's a Christian platform, and I can be free to talk, because even though there's some platform that even if you're not Christians, I will still talk my faith and talk my belief. So it's just so beautiful that even on this platform, so we understand each other and know that okay, God is is at the end of the day, the center of it all. So that's basically my story in a nutshell, and how much I've got it. And I would also say that aside from being in a secret place, also you as an individual also doing your own due diligence, right? So you're in business or you are in career, whatever it is, how excellent are you doing your job, right? Don't be that Christian that is like, oh, they call you for work, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm going for prayer meeting. Or you come late to the office, they say, where are you coming from? You say, oh, we had video last night, so I woke up very late. Like, you are not representing God in any way, right? Like, you need to be diligent in your work. Say that a man who is diligent in his work, he will stand before kings and not mere men. Do you understand? Like, if you're standing before kings and you're doing work before kings, like, the value that you're going to be getting is different from when you're serving a mere man. And it's you being diligent that will take you to the top, because those that can afford to pay you what you want, they're looking for an exceptional skill, exceptional value that you would bring to the table, not what just any other random person can do, right? So how are you ensuring that you are different from the rest? In your industry, you're different. In your environment, you're different. In your country, you're different. Like, as a human being, you are different, such that when people see you, they say, in fact, I was with a client a few days ago, and she was like, I'm so happy that you got this contract, because as soon as I realized that you don't have this contract, I knew that I will have peace of mind. And it was so comforting for me, for someone to say that once Morenike's company gets this job like this, me, I can go to sleep. Like, I know that the work is already done. So those are the testimonies that people should be getting. Like, I've worked at one of the 5-star hotels that I've worked on. An Oyinbo man, an expatriate, he said, you are the only Nigerian company that has never given me headache, right? That has not given me headache, and just continue to do what you're doing. Because obviously, the testimony about Nigerians is that it's either different testimonies, right? So he was surprised that okay, these ones they are different. But me, it's not like I was trying to impress him. Me, I was trying to impress God. I don't want to disappoint God. So my own level, is different from trying to this person is my boss. I want to see how I can just my own is on another level. So there's no way you'll be operating on that level that you would not be doing supernatural or extraordinary things, right? So these are some of the things that we have advantage as believers. And again, like I said, if you're consistent in the place of prayer, consistent in your study of the word, there are Bible passages that speak to your every need, to your business, to your everyday life, to your NGO, to anything that you're doing. There are things that will guide you. So yeah, so basically that's how I found myself where I am like this in a nutshell. Because there are different things that I'm now doing that I did not plan for it, right? But when you're diligent, when you almost like, if this work that this 5-star hotel that I'm talking about, just a testament of the many things that God has done. Like, we were supposed to do a particular portion of the hotel, but because of how diligent we were, the expatriates started saying no, started adding more work to us, and it was almost like they were collecting work from people that were incompetent and the incompetent people were Israel, like people that were in from from abroad as well, like contractors from abroad, and they're like, you guys are delaying, like maybe work that they will give them, those ones maybe they will do for 3 months, we will just do like for like 3-4 weeks, right? They're like,
Wow.
these people are more efficient, so that's why they started taking work from them and giving to us. So
Wow.
again, once you're diligent, you will just see that many more avenues of blessings will just continue to open doors, and I'm a true testament to that.
Amazing. Wow. Wow. That was a full masterclass on its own. Honestly, because there's just so much to unpack there.
Mm,
Because when you mentioned that, when something seems easy to you,
mm,
it does like you are not even looking at it because you want it. You want because I think it's the hustle culture that
yes, yes,
sometimes just subjects our mindsets to
yes,
it has
yes.
to be hard
Mm,
before you can actually
mm,
attain. And there's one of my most favorite message from Pastor Pojo Yemade is the mystery of capital.
mm,
And he always emphasizes on this particular statement of holding what you have in a defective form. You're
mm,
holding it in a defective form in your mind. You're holding it in a defective form in your mind, in your hands. And and there's this scripture that he quotes: "There is much food in the tillage of the poor." There is so much that you have,
mm,
but because of the way you are looking at it,
mm,
you will never see the value in it. And like you said, it will take someone from the outside to actually tell you what is in your frame before
mm,
you even realize what you even have. And that's what's so profound on another level. And now you mentioned something about pastors' children. I
mm.
know someone out there is listening now and they are wondering, like, hey, I must say pastor's child. And good for you. You had nice nice pastor parents. But is there something that you can actually say to someone out there that feels like, growing up in that kind of Christian home environment, because there are Christian home and then there is the pastor,
Mm,
there is the pastoring home. You understand? And of course, like you are probably would say one of the very few that can actually say that, oh, they didn't force me to do this. They didn't, because you have even grown so much into the lifestyle of Christianity that
exactly.
you are yourself, you are now even become a pastor yourself. You understand? So can you just, a little bit unpack that for someone out there that is carrying, that kind of hurt, that is carrying that kind of animosity, or that kind of no. My parents were pastor. I don't want to have anything to do with the Christian faith.
So at the end of the day, I always say that we are the ones that are in charge of our lives, right?
Mm.
Regardless of our upbringings, we can. I know how people say you can unlearn, you learn, and then relearn or something.
Yeah.
Everyone has like different, upbringings, different parents, there are different ways that we have been brought up. But I always say perspective is very important, right?
Mm.
Sometimes, right, if you also reflect and you really think about it, it might be that you know it might have been coming from a place of love, but not everybody knows how to communicate, especially like our African parents. They don't know how to
Mm.
communicate. It's usually tough love that they know, right? So
Yeah.
if you then begin, because you also have to guard your heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are the one
Mm-hmm.
that will stand on judgment day and account for yourself. You will not say to God that, oh God, the parents that you gave to me, they were so mean, they did not allow me to, I had to now, I wanted to show them, and so I backslided and I did it.
Mm.
It's not, it's you will stand for yourself and
Mm.
and account for your own life. So I would say two things. If it was, if you assess the situation and you're like, okay, maybe they were coming from a place of love, but they did not just, show it the
Love in
way,
my own love language.
in my own love language. Okay,
Mm.
it's easy. It's easier to move on and just, going forward. Anything that you do, you are just interpreting it as love. There was one of my mentees that came to me and said that, our father wanted to get married. She had just finished university and she had finished NYSC. But her father wanted her to do a master's before she got married. So he just kept on saying, "You're not going to get married. You're not going to get married." And she was like, "I want to get married. I want to get married." And then she came to meet me. She was crying and all that. And I was like, "Okay, first of all, why does your father not want you to get married?" He was like, "Oh, maybe because he doesn't like my husband, or maybe because he just feels like I'm too young, that I'm not ready for marriage. What does it mean by that? I'm mature enough, blah blah blah." And the father too, wasn't giving her reasons. Just kept on saying,
Mm.
"You're not going to marry. You're not going to marry." So he was like, "Why? Like why?" Anyways, and I said, when you get home, just go and kneel down on your dad and say, "Dad, I know that you love me so much, and I know that you want the best for me, but I also still want to know the reason why, so that you can help me. And if the reason is makes sense, like I would obey, like I would not get married. Just let me know." And she went back home. Obviously, the father was still very, but she was able to touch his heart. And then he was like, "My daughter, I want you. I don't want you. I want you to finish your education before you go to a man's house, because I don't want a situation whereby he now mistreats you, or you don't fulfill your purpose. You don't do the thing that you're supposed to do, and then you just go and become." Just go and become a wife like that. So at the end of the day, she now saw that he was really coming from a place of
Yes.
love, but he wasn't communicating that.
Interesting.
And so going forward, she
Mm.
understood, like, so they used to even just play about it. And she actually now waited and did her master's. And then
Oh.
as soon as she was done with her master's, the father said, "Now I am happy to release you right? That
Wow.
1 year that happened, it changed the dynamics of their relationship, right? So
Wow.
sometimes, but imagine that could have gone sideways. The
So
father would have insisted, and then she would have just, been
bitter.
so resentful, bitter.
Mm,
She would not have handled the situation well, and it could have just
mm,
spiraled downhill. So sometimes it may
mm,
just be that you thinking, okay, these people, they want me to be going to a vigil every time. They don't want me to be wearing earring. They don't want me to be doing this. Maybe it's just because they want me to be a good person. They don't want me to miss the wrong people. They want me
mm,
to be a child of God because they are big perks of serving God. They want to, but it's just that they not find the way. And not everybody grew up in a loving home. So if a
mm,
parent does not know how to, was not loved when they were growing up, when they grow up and they did not relearn or learn some things,
mm.
they will
Repeat.
also do this, is repeat the same thing. So it's
Mm.
now that's why I said that at the end of
Exactly.
the day, you are the one in charge of your life. You need to assess it
Exactly.
and say, no, me, I will not be like this. Right? And that's why it's so good, to follow people that inspire you on Instagram, have
Mm,
mentors, read books, watch,
mm,
YouTube videos of people that you
mm,
want your life to be modeled. I always say, so me, for example, I design my life. That's what I
mm,
say. I design, like, the power to design my life is in my hands, right? So I
mm,
sit down, the things that, so just how they say, when you look at somebody, or you have like a mentor, you might have one mentor, and that mentor might not be able to serve all the purposes that you want them to serve. Some,
mhm,
they can be your mentor when it comes to entrepreneurship, but when it comes to
mhm,
marriage, they might not be your mentor.
mm.
It doesn't mean that the person
Yeah.
is a bad person. It's not a
Mm,
bad person. You will take the one that you want to take, and then close your eyes to the other one that is not your business, right?
mhm,
Another one can
mhm,
be a fantastic, mentor when it comes to marriage. Like their home is great. They are, parenting their children in the way of the Lord. But when it comes to finances, they are reckless. You cannot
mm.
now say, oh, because of that, that
Who
person
made
is
a
bad.
thinker?
Focus on the one that you want to learn from them, that they are
Mm,
doing well.
mhm,
And that's how you're able to pick things and design. Just like whether you're making pizza or you're making
mm.
there's some restaurants you go to, just say, oh, you can make your own
Pick
pasta
your
or
ingredients.
something. You
Yeah.
choose different ingredients, and it's what suits you. So that's how you design. So I always say I design my own life. The things that I want from my parents, the things that I see that are great from my mom, my father, I pick it. The ones that
Mm,
I'm not, as I'm an adult, I'm like, this thing was not really nice. But I'm
mm.
looking at it that, okay, I'm a parent myself now. I
Can
cannot
I
be
do it?
perfect. Am I?
Mm,
No matter what, I can't not be perfect. Like, so now I'm really now be empathetic, right, towards them, and
mm.
say they do not have the manual to life at the time.
Exactly.
They're all just winging it. In fact, they do not even have access to information as we have access to
Mhm,
information. So we have so many things to our advantage, such that
mhm,
we should then be grateful.
mm,
Right, and if
mm,
you're, and that's when you move to that point of a grateful heart, you see that
mm,
creative things begin to drop in your heart. So that's
mhm,
one. Then there's another part where it's almost seeming like it's unredeemable, that maybe this parents really physically abused you, emotionally abused you, maybe sexually abused you. There's some demonic parents, like you're like, where did they, all this Insta
Where
blood,
did you come
all
from?
this, where did they come, like how, right?
Oh,
That one, is God, like, is you this God that would have to help you heal your heart, but you have to be open to wanting to
mhm,
receive that healing and saying, yes, my parents, these people did me dirty, they did me wrong,
mm.
and I know that it will take the grace of God, because that kind of thing is to take the grace of God,
Praise
right?
the
But
Lord.
be willing and saying, God, I don't want to, because they say that unforgiveness is like, drinking poison. The person that offended you, like you
Mhm,
drinking poison and expecting that other person to die. It's not possible now. It's not possible. If you drink poison, it's you that will die, right? So
yeah.
unforgiveness. So you just look at it and say, okay, I don't want to be the one. I can't give this person much more power, because
Mm,
they have done some damage, they've done some hurt, but that's all that they will do. I will not give them further power to continue to damage me. And I know that it's easier said than done. But at the end of the day, it's you. There's so many people that are carrying so much hurt, that even the people that hurt
mhm.
them, they don't know. Those ones that even
Because
feel,
they're not even aware.
they are not
Mhm,
aware, they're enjoying their
mhm,
life. They are like,
mm,
I'm like, no, don't put yourself in bondage. Like like
mm,
imprisoning yourself. You need to be free
mm,
today. And I pray that whoever is listening today,
mm,
that is feeling that heaviness and that burden,
mm.
that the Holy Ghost, that the Holy Spirit will help us to uplift those burdens in the name of Jesus, and
Amen.
the light, and that anyone that has hurt you in the past, that has betrayed
Mm,
you, that has just made you just who you are today. I pray that God gives you the heart to forgive and for you to move on in the name of Jesus. So
Amen.
so I can always say parenting is so key. At the end of the day, also remember that you as well, you'll be a parent someday. So what are the things that you want to see? What are the things that you don't want to do to your own children? Begin to write that down, and then I'm sure that God will give us the grace and the power to actualize these our goals in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. That was so heartfelt, and the part where you mentioned empathy.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of us really, really need to what's the word now? Covet to have. Because if you can just walk 1 mile or just one step in somebody else's shoes, then you can, the introspection, the reflection can help you to understand that if they know better, they would have done
They'll
better.
do better. Yes, very true.
So, and that helps you, and that accelerates your healing process, because that just helps you to unpack and helps you to understand that what's their own story, where are they coming from? Exactly. It was handed down to them that they have actually dished out to you, so they didn't know
how they
better.
say hurt people hurt other people.
Exactly.
Do you understand? So if you hear of the case of abuse, you say the person that the abuser has also been abused
Yeah.
before. So even though we're not trying to make it right, but we're just trying for you to understand. So I always tell my children that if anyone bullies are not good at, like, it's because of they are not finding love in their homes. Like, that's why they will come and show, or maybe they are experiencing such as well in their own environment, and that's the only way they can that's how they are then expressing themselves. That means that they are not so don't even be afraid of bullies. So I usually even have those conversations with my children as well. So it's very important to note.
Amazing. So when you were telling us about the story of how you started and all of that, it was quite beautiful. Someone out there is wondering, okay, your husband told you that this is treasure, and then you decided that, there's actually treasure in it. So how did you get your first clients? Was it family and friends? Was it, what was, because someone out there too probably has the same passion as you, but they don't even know the first step to take in, actually, making, because now you've been on the journey over 10 years. Just imagine, by just acknowledging that, okay, I have this in my hands. Just like when God was talking to Moses, what do you have in your hand? I have the rod in my hands. And he didn't know that rod had capacity to part the Red Sea, capacity to turn to a serpent. You understand? So somebody is holding something in their hands right now. So can you help them to stop looking at it in a defective form and begin to see the treasure in it?
All right. So the question, I'm trying to remember the question again. Sorry, my mind.
Yeah.
So you talked about. So I'm asking the question again.
Okay, yeah. So, like, how were you able to, now your husband had opened your eyes to the treasure that you had in your hand?
I think the first thing you asked was, how did I get my first client? So I remember it was my father that was my first client, and I'd been disturbing him for like almost a year. That I'm doing this business. Please patronize me. I'm coming to reach where your house needs renovation. I'm coming to do it. And eventually, I think after I stressed him, disturbed him, he said, "Oh, yeah, come by being persistent." And that's like one of the best decisions ever, because I remember when I started the project, I didn't cost properly for it. So because I was an amateur now, I was just starting a business. So I think maybe at the time I costed maybe 1 million. I don't know, the project ended up at maybe like 10 million. If it was another person, I don't get busy with that. Do you understand? And that would have just, scarred me, and I would have just run away from the business entirely. But because it was my father, we sat down and we began to do the math together. And then he was like, next time you need to be very careful, so that if you have another client, this is not you're going to be embarrassing yourself in front of.
You know what's making me laugh right now? What's your first degree?
Exactly, or mathematics. In fact, 2 degrees in mathematics, but the business math was not mathing. It was not mathing, So anyway, so that's how that's how I got my first project, and I was able to learn so much from that project. So after then, I was telling my husband a few days ago that I'm so grateful that we have never made up on any project. Like, I'm very we're very, very meticulous when it now comes to and that was from that experience from that time. So I always say, if you're starting business, as much as possible, please try to start with friends and family. Friends and family, you can, if you make mistake with them, you will say sorry. They will not throw you away, right? They will encourage you, or they'll give you constructive feedback, right? And then you can now take it and use it to be better and keep getting better. But if your first client is a complete stranger and you may now go and make mistake, you might not really recover from it, or from it for a long time you might not recover from it. So I always advise. So that's how I got my first client. And from there, I then had like my parents' friends that would come to the house. They would see what I've done, and they say, "Oh, come and do the same thing. I want to do the kitchen." Because what happened was that I was supposed to only do my dad's room, but by the time I started the renovation, my younger sister was like, "Me too, I want to do my own bedroom." Or my brother was like, "Me too, I need to do my own. Me too, my own bedroom too must be done." My mother said, "This kitchen, I've had it for the longest time. I need my kitchen." So before I knew what was happening, I was renovating the entire house. So so imagine starting a business, and that's I was almost like I was thrown into deep waters.
Either you sink or swim.
Yes. And thank God I did not sink. I did not drown. And that really taught me so much. And 11 years after, we are here and we are strong. So please, for someone that's starting out, and please just persist. Like, your family and friends, they will be more emotionally attached. Like, if you are being persistent. You are messaging them. I do the best banana bread. I do the, just a trainer will convince you, right? And if you have to maybe even send a sample, please do, and from there they would also open up their own network to you, and it just begins to go from referrals, and then now the job will now be on you to always deliver exceptionally well and excellently, and then it will just pick up from there.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That was really, really insightful. That was so insightful. And there was something that I picked from when you said you did the job and then your parents' friends, whenever they came, they saw the work. So that's just to say, make your work visible.
Yes. Make it visible.
Visibility.
Because there are some times where the things that you do, you will not be there every time to defend it. It's the work that will speak for itself. So when my parents were coming to the house, I was not there, but the work was speaking for itself. That the work itself was the one saying, I'm here, this is a fantastic job, and people were saying, so what is it that is in your hand? Do it well, so that after you have left it where with the current customers, it will keep on advertising itself for you. I'm sure you've met people you've met people where they wear something really nice. And you're like, oh, where did you get this outfit from? It's so nice.
Yeah,
And the person
so
like, oh,
nice.
it was somebody I got it from Instagram or I got it from Kiniko. Then you get the person's contact. That person was not there when advertising her market by herself.
Yeah.
But the work itself,
The work was speaking for
was
itself.
the one that was speaking for itself. Or you see someone that did a very nice Ghana with very nice hair, right? And they're like, where did you get it? Where did you do this hair? Please send me give me your plug, and then patronize the person. But the person was not there when you saw it. So is your work good enough that it can speak for itself, or you just did the work because you are hungry or you need money? You just did it shabbily. I mean, that's all that you will get from it. So make sure that every time, you are not embarrassing God, you're not embarrassing your family, you're not embarrassing yourself, and do work as it's supposed to be.
Wow. So on this journey of a decade, what's been your most profound and challenging experience?
The difference between successful people and people that are not successful, because everything about them, they make a big deal about it.
But somebody out there like, there's nothing special about me.
Every single person has multiple uniqueness in them. As long as it's God that made you, and not AI, right? Kindness can be what makes you unique. I cannot sleep with somebody because I want to get contract. If you give me the whole world, I will not sleep with you because I want to get contracts. It's a no. What kind of project will you say no to? What kind of project will you walk away with, no matter how much it is? If you don't have the values that you can just say, okay, it's not that bad, though.
Not that bad.
Not that bad. It's not just to sleep with somebody. You should be to sleep with my husband. What's the big deal? It's a big deal. I see. I went to your DM. I'll say, please, how can we be friends? And we go, don't be shy. We are adults now. What's the worst that can happen? They tell you no, you move on to the next person. Why will you be doing like a baby that, because somebody said no to you, now crying and
and that is the end of part 1. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification for this channel so that you will be the first to know when the next part 2 of the episode drops. And until next time, stay blessed and stay on purpose.